Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. We are live. I'm joined by Ricky and I'm joined by Saeed again. How are you doing, lads?
Very well, thanks, mate.
Brilliant. Thanks, Matt.
Let's get into it. I'm going to start off about Jadon Sancho because there is some news for me to bring you all on that this Sunday evening. We're also going to be talking about 5 midfielders that Manchester United should be looking at over the next coming weeks and, the summer transfer window. We'll also be talking about when football might get back because that is something to consider as well. And Paul Pogba's been doing a podcast. Well, not a podcast. He's been doing some Skype chat today with Jesse Lingard, which some people have interpreted that he will be staying long term. But let me just say this to you about Jadon Sancho, though. Dortmund have issued a Sancho transfer update. In essence, their chief executive has basically come out and said that there will be no Sancho sale if they do not get value in the market. There's not going to be any bargain tours for big clubs with monies this summer just because there's been a financial crisis. They're not going to allow that to happen. They've got a price in mind for Sancho. They don't need to lower it. They'll be fine without. So that straight away puts us into a situation. We go to the lads and the live comments about this because I spoke about this morning. We sort of wandered into this by mistake. I do think that the transfer market in the summer is a big unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. I think that there will be a lot of clubs that are really going to be poor. And I think there may be a bargain tour, like the chief executive of Dortmund's talking about, with certain clubs across Europe who, basically live hand to mouth. They might have a very good player. And I used Lille as example. I don't know how well off Lille are, but they've got Babakari Samari. And it might be that they wanted 40 million and they take 10 because they need 10 million in the summer. But it doesn't appear Dortmund are going to be like that. From United's point of view, I don't know how United's transfer window in the summer is going to go because Manchester United have got a lot of debt and the debt isn't going down because there's a financial crisis. It's going to stay what it is, but profit levels are going to go down. So that gap between debt and profit levels is going to get bigger and bigger. Now, what we've seen with the last few transfers for United, whether it's Bruno, whether it's Harry Maguire, whether it's Wan-Bissaka, we've seen a frustration from the fan base saying, oh, just give Sporting 60. That's what he's worth. Just pay the 50 for Wan-Bissaka. Just pay the 80 for Harry Maguire. And we've seen weeks and weeks and weeks of negotiation because United are trying to save every little bit they can get. The evidence is not that Manchester United actually have that much money. The evidence is that we maybe don't. So I'll go to you first on this one, Ricky. What's your thoughts about the summer transfer window? And, as somebody who I'm sure you're aware of the situation with the Glazers and that, do you think there could be a scenario where United are, do you see United paying the price that of maybe 100 million for Sancho after what we're going through at the moment? And also longer, in a bigger question, do you think that there is a chance that Manchester United might just go, look, it's the perfect excuse for Woodward and co, isn't it? We can't afford it. We've lost a load of money.
It's a very interesting question. I don't think they'll be too keen to spend that sort of money on it. I really don't. If they're gonna stick out for that after obviously after what's going to happen in the next few months with people losing so much money, the economic slump that we're going to have, I find it hard to believe that they'll be able to stick to those guns. To be honest, but if they can't stick to those guns, I think it would also mean that probably the big clubs can't quite afford the prices that they would normally be able to afford as well. It's not just going to affect one side. Do you know what I mean? It's going to affect both sides, I think. Not that we might not be able to afford 50 or 60 million, but the 100 million might be, if they stick for that, might be a bit out of our reach. That's what I think.
Saeed, I think what we're seeing is a development, isn't it, day to day with what's going on in football and what might happen in the summer. And I must be honest, I've got to applaud the comments section this morning because somebody said, what makes you think we can go round on the bargain tour when we've never been that club? Maybe Man City and Chelsea can, but we have got owners who massive amount of debt, don't like to spend money and have got the perfect excuse to say, yeah, we were going to sign Sancho, but look at the financial markets. We'll have to get by with what we got.
Yeah, it's true. I'm in that camp where I'm still believing that we can pull off Sancho. But you've also got to realise that Dortmund, they don't generate a big income. Their valuation is going to go down a bit. So when they're talking about, you've got to give us 120 million, they don't really create that much revenue. Germany don't really create that much revenue in terms of sponsorship deals and all that. So you've got to look at it from there. I believe that we are going to get Sancho. I just think we're maybe going to have to pay a bit over the odds. I think United have always generated a lot of money through sponsorships in China, sponsorship in India. I think people are getting a bit, giddy in terms of have United not got any money, but I'm telling you, their bank is stacked up. When they've got the money and when they can draw it out, they can draw it out like it's nothing. I think people need to realise that Man United are a financial superpower in world football. And, they have got money through the advertisement deals over in China. The fact that they go every tour, they go around the world and do the global tour. There's some money that they know that when there's a crisis or when there's a time where United need to pull out the money, they can do that. But obviously, it all goes down to the Glazers and their ambition. If United are happy, and I feel like United are happy under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, then it'll be like, you know what, let's see what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can work with this squad. But for me, I don't buy this argument that United might not have the money. I really, really believe they will have the money. It's whether Dortmund will say how much they want to give them. Because I believe Dortmund will come up to a valuation point and say, do you know what? Let's do 100 million. Because at the end of the day, we've not had football for the last 6 months. You know what I mean? We've not got any key signings so far. So I believe I'm still in the camp. I'm still hopeful that Sancho can come to Man United.
I do think it's interesting, and I think we'll have to wait and see what happens with it. I think that I just think it's a very interesting time in general. And look, I want to talk about Pogba, and I want to talk about midfield options if Pogba goes, because that's sort of what I sort of gave the lads a bit of homework actually, and I said, give me sort of top 5 options that you think we could get as midfielders this summer. So we'll obviously be talking about that as well. But the general football picture is changing, and the landscape changes every single day. I saw Gary Neville and Piers Morgan sort of going at it a little bit today. Piers Morgan, if anyone doesn't know what he is, I can't say what he is really, but he's somebody who likes the sound of his own voice. I think he thinks he's the people's prime minister at the moment. He thinks if he puts a tweet out and everyone gets on it, and he's had a bugbear about closing schools. He's had a bugbear about isolation and what we should be doing with that. And now he seems to be moving towards football now. And him and Gary Neville have been going back and forth a bit. And, I think Gary Neville's basically said that, look, nobody's saying that football should be played now, but I think it's escapism. It's an opportunity for people to talk about something that's not, all the horrible stuff that's going on. And it appears Gary Neville may have even come up with a plan, whether he'll get listened to, Ricky, about maybe finishing the season around sort of end of the summer, having a little break, starting a new season, which pauses for the Euros. Then you finish it after the Euros. Then you have another break, and then you take the next season closer to the World Cup, which is in 2 years' time. So restructuring. I mean, has your opinion changed on it in the few days? As to, I just think we're now starting to get quite a push. I think even Rio Ferdinand said it. Let's look at voiding the season. There seems to be a lot of people who just feel that now let's void the season, which to me I just don't get. I think why are we even talking that?
I was listening to your show earlier today, and you was talking about that and about you mentioned not voiding the season straight away. I don't know if Ferdinand's talking about making the decision right now, but I agree with what you said today. And there's no need to make the decision right now, no need whatsoever. Come May time. Each and every day and each and every week, the picture becomes a little bit clearer. So come the beginning of May or the middle of May, we might be able to say point blank, look, there's no chance of us playing any football in June. So at some stage, you're going to have to make a decision. But if come the middle of May, they're not going to be able to play by the end of June, then they're going to have to discuss voiding the season, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to work starting the end of last season in July and then not starting the new season until late September or something. I don't see that working. I really don't, especially moving into a Euros in that summer. It's really, really cramped for time. So I don't see that happening. It's a case of, I think, making a decision in the middle of May. And in the middle of May, if they don't think they can play in June, they're going to have to void it. That's what I think.
Dipanshu Kumar says, in my opinion, the pandemic will not affect the price for good club players because the price is never paid up front. It's always paid over years. That's a very good point, actually. And first and foremost, I hope you're all keeping safe, says Josh Bowwater. Agree with you, Mark, on finishing the league. Got to look at it from the point of view of what we would want if we were in Liverpool's position. I mean, where do you stand on that, Saeed? Because I don't really care about Liverpool, but my stance is more about, I just think morally, I don't agree with a season that's 3 quarters done being replayed, because all of Matic's great performances in January, Ricky, they won't exist anymore. So they'll be confined to the bin. So, but no, seriously, I do think I just feel that we should try and finish the season whenever we finish it.
I'm with you about, but I just cannot see it happening. As much as I want to go to Old Trafford, walk down Stretford Road, and visit Old Trafford, I just can't see it happening. And excuse me. For me, it's just too much complications. You know what I mean? Even if you were to have the game behind closed doors, you've got camera people, you've got the hospitality staff, you've got the ambulance service. Imagine you told, the football needs ambulance services at that point. So imagine the ambulance service being told to come there when there's a pandemic going on and the virus is still out there. It just, for me, all the complications don't work. And as much as I want football to happen, I just can't see any advantages of it happening. I really don't. And it's a sad really, because obviously, we don't get season finished. People that were Ollie ins and they want, we were doing so flyingly well. We were beating 5-0 against Lask. Everything's going well. And you just want to see football in the day. Everyone wants to see football, and for that to be taken away, it's just heartbreaking. For me, I just feel like you've got to avoid this season. And as much as we can talk about Liverpool and all that, you just got to avoid the season, start again. But then there was a person saying to me before, saying, "Oh, what about if Liverpool start the league 20 points ahead?" Which I don't think that's even fair anyway. To be fair, I've seen a couple of Liverpool fans saying, "Can we start 20 points ahead and start the season?" I just can't see that happening. So
just on that, Saeed, just to come back. So do you're saying, you can't see the season being finished. Where do you stand on next season then? Is that because you don't see that being played anytime soon? Or is it just because, I just think a season should start in August and we won't have time to finish this one? I don't
even see when the next season is going to happen. Because apparently we've been told that the pandemic could last until June. And then, social distancing has to continue until about October. That's reports. I don't know if that's true or not. But if you're going by that, then how do you expect the season to happen even in August? No, I don't even know when this thing is even gonna this coronavirus is even gonna stop. I just don't know. Do you know what I mean? So there's no clear timescale. That's for me the alarming bit. There's no clear timescale where people agree on. So how can everyone agree on it? The government and the football officials agree on a date. That's for me the key bit. When are they gonna agree on a date? And I don't know. I just feel like we've got to do our bit to help football happen again. But you see with Boris, getting the coronavirus, is that going to change his mind now? There's a lot of things that are going to be going on, and it needs everyone to agree on the same thing. So for me, I don't know when next season's going to happen. I really don't.
Zane Miassi says, if Sancho is so good, why is United only after him? No, I think you're getting this wrong, Zane. No. It's because he wants to come to United. Arsenal would swim to Dortmund if they could to get him. He just won't be coming there. But yeah, just back on that one, Ricky. There, I mean, do you agree with Saeed on that? Is it because you don't see next season starting for a long time, or is it more about keeping the structure of, look, we're not going to have time to finish the season before the next season starts in August?
Just very quickly, Matt. When Saeed's talking, I can't hear a thing. I don't know if you can alter that.
All right, okay.
When Saeed talks, that's the last 2 times that he's spoken. Now I've not been able to hear him. But getting back to your question,
might be a good thing.
I just don't think that they will play this season if it's going to dig too deeply into next season when they've got a European Championship at the end of next season. I mean, the season normally starts sort of early to mid-August, sort of around the 10th of August normally. If it's going to have to start any time after, I don't know, maybe the 10th of September, just a few weeks grace, I can't see it. I can't see them knocking the season back too far. If indeed they're actually ready to start the next, please, they are ready to start the next season. But if last season is going to affect next season by more than just a few weeks, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, Jared Wilson says it makes more sense to end the season now, and you've got more of a window to plan for when you start the next season. So, a lot of people are starting to think like that. Josh Bowwater says, can't agree with Saeed. It's not really that complicated. You just pick up where we left off when safe to do so. It finishes when it finishes. Even if that's September, then we start next season later on. I think just for me, I'm not saying that we're not going to avoid the season. I think it's a very changeable thing from where we were a week ago. Felt like the longest week ever. But I just also think that let's not make a rash decision. I actually think this week, when they cancelled all the lower league football and everything, logically they're probably going to have to do that. But I still think it's a bit early because this is unprecedented. You don't know where we're going to be in a month. In a month's time, they might say, forget football, you're not having it before Christmas. But they might also say things are starting to change globally. You know, these strategies are starting to work. Actually, we've had a lot of cases. We've not destroyed our NHS in this country, in that country. We can start to ease it up a bit. You just don't know where we're going to be. So I just don't think we should make rash decisions, which people like Piers Morgan just seem to be foot down the pedal to try and make people do. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I have told Ricky about the goal on career mode. Yep. If anybody didn't see that, that's from M Fahim K10. It was a banger. He'd be proud of it. He's seen it on Twitter as well. So yeah, good. Let's talk about Pogba for a moment. Paul Pogba has he's been I don't know what to call it. We've seen a lot of players popping up like this at the moment. It's a weird world to live in relation to news, because you've got your normal familiar ways of getting news, and then you've got your a lot of footballers are isolated like us, so they're doing little phone chats with people. And some of them are on Instagram, like their own Instagram, and then some of them are officially through United. I think this was official United having a chat with Lingard and Pogba. So Pogba, you might not know this, lads, anyway, but Pogba this afternoon chatting with Lingard, he's come out and said that, stay at home, everybody, which is very important, of course. And he's also come out and said, we look forward to getting back and winning games and proving that we can win trophies. Now, some people have taken this means that Paul Pogba's going to stay. Does that mean Paul Pogba's going to stay to you, Saeed? Do you see it as that? And as somebody who does want him to stay at the club?
I think you can't take Instagram Live or, Man United official video for anything, really. I really don't. Especially when it's with Jesse Lingard and they're having a chat and they're just chilling around. I can't take anything seriously, to be honest. But my stance, Mark. I really do want, Paul Pogba to stay at Man United. I think he's going to be a person that will take us to the next level, and will always be that person where we can rely on to unlock a game. And you keep your world-class players for me. You always have to keep your world-class players. And so, for me, if Real Madrid were to come calling and they said to us, 150 million, here you go. I'd absolutely say, Paul Pogba, shake your hand, thanks for your service for the football club, and go to Real Madrid peaceably, and I wish you all the well. But if there's a chance to keep Paul Pogba in the squad here for Man United, he's a person who, for me, is above Bruno Fernandes in terms of unlocking a game by just the sheer magic and sheer brilliance of Paul Pogba. Any single player in world football would have Paul Pogba. There's no denying that. There's absolutely no denying that. So for me, you go keep your best players. And if Man United have a chance to say, keep Paul Pogba or nothing, then I'd absolutely keep Paul Pogba. I don't know. I think Ricky's going to come with a different kind of view. But for me, you have to keep your best players. And if Man United want to challenge for the title next year, or want to go top 4, or want to become the best team in the world, you keep Paul Pogba. But like I said, if he doesn't want to leave, then by all means, I'd shake his hand to Real Madrid. I really would.
Ricky, I don't know whether you could hear that from Saeed. No. Okay, no. It's all right. We're live, so we'll just go with it. Everybody else did hear what Saeed said, so I'll just translate it back. Basically, he said, Pogba is the best player in the team. We need to keep him. Matic should be washing his car, not even playing in the midfield with him. And if Pogba wants to stay, we should let him stay. Basically, that's what he said. So, I mean, look, we seem to talk about Pogba quite a lot. When you hear Pogba saying, I want to get back playing and winning trophies with Manchester United, does that to you mean that he's here for the long term? I mean, it's a sentence from Paul Pogba. We've heard today, another story about Juventus offering money and a player, maybe a Pjanic or a Dybala. Real Madrid may be looking at other options. Does a little Instagram video or whatever from Pogba make you change your mind or think that he's going to be here next year? Or do you think he is starting to realise he's going to have to because of the wider market?
I'm not sure whether he's thinking he's going to have to stay or not. My own opinion is that I think he should go. Loads of people have already come back at me and said, look, it would work. I don't think it'll work with Bruno and Pogba in the midfield. I think we've signed Bruno, and I think he's more or less a replacement for Pogba. I like the idea of a workaholic midfield player, a defensive midfield player, and then a player with more flair like Pogba or like Bruno. And I think there's only room for one of them in the team. and Bruno's playing well. Pogba never seems to be fit anyway. Obviously, we don't know that that'll carry on, but we also don't know that it won't. If we can get a good deal for Pogba, I'd like to see the back of him, if I'm honest.
There we go. Totally different opinions there, which is what it's all about. You can hear Ricky, can't you, Saeed?
Yeah, I can hear Ricky clearly.
Okay, all right. Simon Cliff has made a contribution. Thank you, Simon. This is Mark. I work for the NHS. I hope you, your family, and also I hope all the community is doing well in this global pandemic. Well, Simon, in whatever capacity you're working for the NHS, you are the heroes without capes at the moment. So we can isolate and we can have a massive part, but it's you people on the front line and everybody who's getting involved in that's making a big difference. So thank you for that. And I would throw that back at you and say, take care, mate, and keep fighting the good fight that you are doing for us, because we're indebted, and the same to all the supermarkets and everybody. Who would have thought we'd live in a world where we're told to get and support local farm shops and everything like that, and we're totally reliant on your standard supermarkets keeping us fed, watered, and basically alive as we self-isolate. It's a humbling time. So thanks to everybody who is contributing, and we're all contributing in our own way, of course. Jared Wilson says, I think Premier League are saying these return dates just as a way to keep the broadcasters sweet. That way, if the season is ended, they can say we tried, but beyond control. You cannot underestimate the amount of money, Jared, that is involved in this game of football, and you cannot underestimate at this point the amount of money that Manchester United football are going to lose, and lots of other clubs are going to lose, because everybody's losing money, and that will certainly be the case. Josh Bowater says, could we be getting linked to Koulibaly so we can play without a traditional CDM and play with a playmaker and two more attacking-minded midfielders instead? Maybe Fred, Pogba, and Bruno. Syed, I'll go to you on that one. These Koulibaly, I was talking about it this morning, Koulibaly being linked to United, the centre-back rumours again. We got Maguire, we got Bain, we got Lindelof, we got Twansebi. Do you see a centre-back being a priority or Koulibaly being... I mean, we have been linked to Koulibaly a lot over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'll ignore, but when it keeps coming in from different areas, I'm like, maybe there's something in this, even though I just don't get why.
Nah, it's too late now. I think we've got Harry Beckenbauer, you know what I mean? That's my guy there, Harry Beckenbauer. We've got Bailly, we've got Fosu Mensah, we've got Twanzebe, you know what I mean? We've got Lindelof there. For me, it's not a priority for me, you know what I mean? You're looking at the right wing positions, centre mid positions, you know what I mean? Attacking positions. I think if you're going to get, what's it called, Koulibaly, I think that's a poor strategy from Woodward and co. And that's really, you got to know where you want. And right now, there's other priorities right now. Don't get me wrong, Koulibaly is probably better than Harry Maguire, better than the defenders that we've got in terms of actual defending. But for me, you've got Harry Maguire. We've got a lot of numbers in there. It would be foolish to get for Koulibaly. I still think it's worth about 80 million, even though it's 29. I still think it's worth about 89 million. But if Man United were to go and buy Koulibaly, I think it'd just be crazy. You know what I mean? Given the times and given what's happening right now, just to go spend Koulibaly would be crazy. But for me, it's a no. Even though last year I wanted him desperately. But we got Harry Beckenbauer, so we're all good.
So, Ricky, what Zaid basically said there is that we've got Harry Beckenbauer, Maguire at the back. He would like to see Koulibaly as there as well, because two world-class centre-backs will stop us conceding with Matic the bag of cement in front of him. He didn't really. I'll stop with these jokes. He basically said I wouldn't have Koulibaly there. He's happy with what we've got, and basically going for a centre back doesn't really make sense. But what about you? Would you take Koulibaly? Do you think a centre back? Some people feel a centre back is what's needed at United. To be fair,
I think Maguire's doing well enough now. I'm not convinced he was worth the money we've paid for him, but that's water under the bridge now. So I'm happy with Maguire. I think Lindelof's doing okay, not fantastic, but he's okay. I think that would be my pairing, but a lot of people won't like this. I'd take Smalling back. With what's going on in the world, we don't know what's going to happen, do we? With the loan deals, I think there's a great chance he could end up coming back to us. You know, especially with, are we going to still ask? Are we still going to ask for? I think the last thing I read was 25 million for him. Whether Roma will be able to pay that, I doubt it somehow. So
that's a good point.
I'd take Smalling back. I think Smalling and Maguire would be a fantastic pairing.
It's interesting on Smalling, actually, because I was on about this morning, and I never considered Smalling, and I certainly didn't consider Sanchez. But if everyone decides they're not going to spend money, or most clubs decide they're not going to spend money, then United going into next season, when you think about Pogba would stay, Rashford would be back, the younger players like Green would be a year older, James would be a year older, Martial would be more established as a striker. Fred's had his year. You've still got your Matic, you've still got your Mata, you've got McTominay who's a year older, you've got Bruno who's a year more used to it, the back four and the goalkeeper, and then Smalling coming back as well, because we can't offload him. You know, Smalling as a backup centre back or as somebody to knock on the door would be quite decent.
Can I just say something about Smalling? When Van Gaal took over, he didn't rate Smalling, and Smalling wasn't in his team in the first instance. I can't remember how many games, but he wasn't in his team, and Smalling won him over. Then when Mourinho came in, he wasn't in Mourinho's team.
And he won him over.
The first 2 or 3 games, Smalling wasn't in his side. Then he became an automatic choice under Mourinho. And now Solskjaer has come in, and after he's only there for the half a season, Smalling played quite a few games, but by the end of the season, he's got rid of him. Now, I think if Smalling comes back, I think he'll win Solskjaer over, just like he had to win Van Gaal over and like he had to win Mourinho over. That's what I think can happen. I think that can happen quite easily.
I'm a big fan of Smalling. I think I remember when he got sent off in the Manchester derby a few years ago, and he got absolutely slaughtered. And you know, some top Reds were calling him the C word, and I don't like that. I mean, I've given Matic critic, I've given Fellaini stick, but I wouldn't be doing all that stuff. And I think Smalling is a backup player. And when he's been called upon over the years, when we've lost our centre backs, he's stepped up to the plate and done a good job. I remember a November time under Mourinho where we went to Arsenal and won, we went to Watford and won, and I think it was the year we came second actually. And our centre backs were all injured. Rojo was injured, Lindelof I think was injured, Bay was injured, and I think Smalling played at centre back and he was superb. So he's always been a decent servant for us. I'd be interested. Go on.
Sorry, I think you've got to remember though, the Italian league is very, very compact. Not many players leave their positions. You know what I mean? You've got mostly low blocks of 4. So I think, you know, as much as we can praise this morning, I think people got to remember there was times when, you know, it was absolutely poor, and, you know, sometimes he couldn't pass sideways. You know what I mean? I remember the game against Brighton a few seasons ago where he had the ball, simple pass to your right, and he almost opens his body up to pass to his right. So for me, I don't know about you. I think we've got to look forward. For me, I would sell Smalling and sell him on and let him have it to Roma, and let's just move on for me. Because I feel like we've got too many centre-backs at the minute. Tuanzebe, for me, I think he'll grow on, he'll grow mature. I think he's got to fight for his position now. You've got Fosu Mensah now, you know what I mean, out of the nowhere, you know what I mean. He can prove it now. I just feel like we're recalling Smalling now. What's it, 30, 31 now? Going to, you know what I mean? I don't know for me. I feel like Man United need to look forward. I think we've sold him for a reason, and that was because he wasn't good enough to be starting. And now we're telling him to come back. I don't know, man. We've got to look forward. So for me, I'd keep Smalling where he is.
Yeah, Ricky, Saeed just saying there that he wouldn't bring him back. He'd like to move on. I
think most people will say that. I really do think most people will say that. But like I say, with the financial climate, I think there's a great chance he will come back. And if he does come back, I think he'll win him over. Mark my words.
Let's have a look at some of your super chats then. Spike MNG says, if Pogba goes to Juventus, who would you take as the swap deal? Ollie wants Ramsey. Would you take him? I wouldn't take Ramsey. I think there's a few other players, Bentancur, Pjanic and Dybala, but I'm not a big fan on that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Adams Anacola says, who do you think has the highest football IQ in our team? Don't say Bruno. I personally think it's Mata. And do you think Dan James could be world-class if he had the football IQ of a Mata? We'll come back to that. I like that question. Let me just write that down. Football IQ. Good question. That is. I don't want to miss some of these. Nova says, Zane, you're not getting Koulibaly while you're still paying instalments for the Ivorian Snodgrass. Ivorian, not Snodgrass. That's Pepe, isn't it? Adam Ford, latest member of the club. Thank you very much. Zane says, to all United fans, Henry had all your strikers in his pocket and will continue like that in the future. Someone needs to tell Zane that Henry retired a long time ago. And Ready HD, I'm going to get the Matic shirt for Ricky. Ricky, just wait. There you go. Nice little present for you, Ricky. We'll come to you on that one, Ricky, then. Good question from Adams and Acola. Who do you think has got the best footballing IQ at Manchester United? Would you think it is Mata? Is he the genius, the magician of the team when it comes to football intelligence?
That's a tough question. Mata's got great football intelligence, without a doubt. He finds space so easily. He's brilliant at finding space to receive the ball, and he's also, I've said this a few times to Flex after the games, he's also got a picture in his mind of what he wants to do with the ball before he gets it, much more so than most of the other players. So I think Mata probably is the man who's got the most football intelligence. Yeah.
Saeed?
Yeah, I would have to go with Mata. I think recently, Fred, you know what I mean? You got to give it Fred as well. I think he's been very, very calm under the ball. I think he sees the game better now. For me, when I came in, and I remember the game against Newcastle, I thought he was still playing in the Ukrainian league. I really did. The football IQ was non-existent. But now I think he's grown into the Premier League. He's adapted well. I think he's very, very, engaged now in what's got around him now. So for me, I would have to say Fred as well. You got to put Fred in that mention as well.
Yeah, and let's not forget Phil Jones as well.
Can't forget him, can you?
Prem Prodigy says, thoughts on Harry Kane's comments? Bit suspicious considering United have been inquiring about him for the past few months. If either of you don't know this, I'll let you know, and then you can give us your thoughts then. So basically, Harry Kane, I think he was doing one of these phone things as well. I think it was with Jamie Redknapp. And basically what he said is, if the club don't match my ambition, then I'm not going to stay at the club. I'm not saying I'm going. Let's just see what happens. But I'm not saying I'm staying either, because I'm ambitious and I'm not going to stay at Spurs if those ambitions don't match me. I mean, Ricky, that's quite, let's flip it around. If Marcus Rashford was sat there saying that today, we'd be talking here tonight saying, well, we might be saying that's a really good message to the Man United board to be ambitious, but we'd also be going, well, what does that say about his commitment? Is he actually thinking about going?
I won't mind swapping them, let's put it that way.
What, Kane for Rashford?
Yeah, I won't mind that one little bit.
Wow.
You're not a fan of Rashford then?
I'm not a big fan of Rashford, no, but Kane's just a different level again. And not only that.
I'm here for the comments now.
we've got this little problem at the minute. Marshall's doing okay as a number 9. He's doing well as a number 9, but he's better coming off the left, and Rashford's also better coming off the left. Now, I think I think most people agree now, even Ollie said it, that Rashford's no good as a number 9. Doesn't play well with his back to goal. So Rashford sort of can only play on the left wing. Maybe you could try him on the right wing. But Marshall can play left wing or number 9. Now, Harry Kane knocks spots off them both as a number 9. So if we had Harry Kane and Marshall, I think that would be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
What is it about Rashford that you don't like? Because there'll be a lot of people in the live comments, and I personally think before the injury, I agree with you. I think Rashford at the start of the season, when he had to play number 9, he was awful. When he went on the left wing, he looked like one of the best players in Europe. What is it about him that has you concerned?
Well, to start with, I don't think he's as good as Marshall. I think Marshall's a lot better. We were just talking about football brain, and I think Marshall's got a better decision making. And I think he's got better close control. Rashford, I've seen Rashford do some brilliant things in the box, but you know what? He's got that little trick that he does where he moves his foot to the right, brings the ball back in with his left and goes past people. Doesn't always work. Sometimes it does. But if he's actually running down the wing with the ball, I think he overruns it a bit too often, whereas Marshall keeps it really tight to his feet. He's a really difficult opponent, Marshall. And I think most fullbacks I'd dread playing against Anthony Marshall more than they would playing against Rashford. I'm sure of it.
There you go. Ricky, thoughts on that? Sorry, not Ricky. Saeed, I
don't know, but I think you got to keep Rashford. In terms of Harry Kane, though, I think it's just desperate time, mate. I really, really do. I think it's, he wants a deal now. He wants a big move now. You know what I mean? He knows he's not getting any younger now. What is he? 26 now. You know what I mean? He's looking for the next big move. Really, he really is. I think he wants to. Look, he said that would he take winning the Premier League or being goal scorer of all time? And he said he wants to win the Premier League. Would you take Harry Kane in your squad? Absolutely, I'd have him all day long. But I think with the way Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to play now on the press and on the movement, it doesn't suit his style. I think it suits more of a Jimenez kind of type. That's what I'm looking for, Raul Jimenez kind of type of player that will press from the front. I think, but for me, if you were to tell me Harry Kane's available, 150 million, 120 million, and United want him, but obviously you want him all day long. But for what United are looking for right now, I think it's more of a Raul Jimenez, Timo Werner, someone that can play off the front. That's going to be a guile about him. Don't get me wrong, Harry Kane's brilliant, but for me, I don't know, man. I'm loving Raul Jimenez at the minute. I really, really like the like of him.
Yeah, Ricky, Saeed just saying that he likes Raul Jimenez there, and he'd be the player he'd be looking at. He'd probably be about a third of the price, to be fair.
There you go.
Says Harry Kane should go to Arsenal if he would become a legend like Sol Campbell. Red Baron says we got rid of Lukaku because he wasn't being involved much and wasn't interchangeable as the other strikers. Harry Kane is similar in that respect. I think that's a very good point. I think United are looking for interchangeable players, whereas Harry Kane would be an out-and-out striker. But then again, that could be a benefit. Is there a fear that Liverpool will dominate the next 20 years? I have it, says Reddy HD. They might not dominate the next 20 minutes, mate, if the season gets voided. They'll win the same amount of titles as they have in the last 30 years, which would be 0. If it gets voided, Liverpool ain't dominating anything. They're going to be in a depression, mate. I mean, that's a good. I mean, look, we'll come back to that. I like that point actually. And Kevin Chilanguao says Fred has been player of the season so far. He's made a huge difference in the midfield. Last season we were talking about getting rid of him. My player of the season is Wan-Bissaka. Fred's been great, but Wan-Bissaka's been brilliant from day one. I don't know whether same for you.
Spot on. Wan-Bissaka, mate. Still got Sterling in his pocket still, even through the quarantine times.
Ricky. Player of the season, would you go Fred or anybody else?
Anthony Martial, I'd go.
Not Matic.
No, he's not played enough, has he? Not played enough. Otherwise,
you know what? Seriously though, I mean, just to talk about this, if they did void the season, what do you think? Who becomes the favourite for the title next year? Because I think if it was voided with Sir Alex Ferguson in charge, I'd be like, there's no way we're not going to go and win it because he'll have them so fired up. But for Liverpool, they've not won anything for 30 years. They've basically won this title. It can only be taken away from them. If it was took away from them, Man City are going to be better next year. We're probably going to be better. Chelsea will be better. Spurs will be better. It'll be a harder league for them. And they'll also have this in their back of their head, won't they? It'd be a hard psychological blow for them.
It would be, yeah. It'd be a psychological blow for them. But the job he's done there, Klopp, it's not just this season that they've been brilliant. Last season they were brilliant as well. Certainly after Christmas, they won. Obviously they won. We know what they won. But they also took a massive amount of points, didn't they, in the second half of last season? So I don't think they're going to... I'm not saying they're necessarily going to win it because, like you say, City are going to be there or thereabouts probably. But Liverpool are not going to fall too far behind, I'm sure of it. So it's just a case of but I think it'd be between Liverpool and City again. I really do.
Yeah, I reckon.
I think we could be involved, but I can't see it.
Ray Martinez says, would you agree that if we only get Koulibaly and Sancho, we become the title contender straight away? If so, why wouldn't you want Koulibaly? I don't. You see, I do think that we do. I think we need Sancho, Saeed, but I also think that we need. I don't think the centre backs. Then I still think that we need a centre defensive midfielder. I know Matic has done well. I know McTominay and Fred have done well, but I don't see a specialist. I don't see enough specialist centre defensive midfielders. I think Matic actually is the only one we've got, and he can't play that role 60 games. So I think we need a CBM. That's what I think. That's why we're going to be a title contender next year.
I think we need
come in on that one.
Yeah.
I was listening to you talking about the way I was listening to your show this morning or yesterday morning when you was talking about how we played when Ollie first took the reins, and we had one holding midfield player, and you described it as 2 attacking midfield players. And it was Matic as the holding player, and the 2 attacking players were Herrera and Pogba. I've looked at the stats since I've thought about it, and the first few games that we played were against the likes of Cardiff and Newcastle, Bournemouth, Huddersfield. I think that was the first 4 games. So I don't think so much that they were deployed as attacking midfield players, Herrera and Pogba necessarily. It's just that the way sometimes the way the game goes sort of decides how your players play. And when you're dominating games, your players are going to be attacking. Now, Herrera played 3 of the first 4 games, and Fred played 1 of them. Matic played 4, Pogba played 4. If those games would have been, let's say it would have been Everton away, City at home, then we wouldn't have done so much attacking, and Herrera would have been more of a defensive midfield player rather than attacking midfield player, simply because we'd have had more defending to do. It's not planned from the outset, we're going to go and defend a lot, or we're going to go and attack a lot. Sometimes it's just like you dominate the game and you dominate. And obviously we dominated. We beat Cardiff 5-1, didn't we? And did we beat Huddersfield 4-1, I think? But so we dominated the play, and that's why we played attacking football. It wouldn't have been quite so attacking if it had been against tougher sides. So if I bring that forward to this year, Matic is playing perfectly well there, even against good sides right now. And I think McTominay is a little bit similar to Herrera, and then Bruno is in the position that Pogba was playing in. And I think that'd be our perfect midfield, and I think it'd be very similar to how we played against those teams. And then going forward to next season, when we're playing against poorer sides, it will be an attacking midfield. But then when we're playing the better sides, it won't be quite so attacking because they won't be able to attack so much.
You see, it will be interesting because what you've described there from a year ago to now is that, Matic he wants to sit, and he does sit. I think Herrera can be a box-to-box. He can defend more. He can push forward more, which I think is a bit more like Fred. And then Pogba was the more licensed attacker, which is now Bruno. So Bruno and Pogba can't both do the same role. So Pogba's either got to become the Herrera or the Matic, and I don't think that's what Pogba's all about. So be interesting how Ollie does that, because I think a lot of us would like to say, I'll play one holding midfielder and Bruno and Pogba will be given license, but it is a bit gung-ho, like you say, against the team that's savvy. I don't know what your thoughts are, Saeed.
I think we need a Partey kind of player in there. I really do. Someone that can just sit and let Bruno and Pogba just do the damage up front. I really, really do. I think that protection in front of the back four for Partey will give. Not only can he play, not only he's got good feet. You know what I mean? He can roam around. He can, marshal the defense and shield the defense. You know what I mean? And it will make the defense more solidified. So for me, a defensive mid for me is absolutely critical. I feel like Matic does do it in moments, but I feel like he's getting on a bit now. You know what I mean? I feel like we need a proper player in his prime right now. And you got that with Partey. I don't know if you've seen the Liverpool game where he absolutely just marshaled the defense. And what he did was he could get it out of tight spaces. He's almost a similar player to Ndombele, but more defensive, more defensively as too. But for me, Partey, if we were to get him this summer, I'm telling you now, him and Sancho would absolutely tear the league apart. I really, really do. We're talking title charge here. I really, really do.
I'll tell you what. I did set them both a little bit of homework, but I think rather than duplicate, we'll just go to Saeed on this, and then I'll feed them back to Ricky. So
yeah.
I said basically, if we were doing a show, 5 midfielders Manchester United should be looking at to sign this summer. What's your 5 and why, Saeed?
So top 5. This is no in any order. There's no order in these. But for me, the first one would be Boubakary Soumaré from Lille. 20 years of age, very, very highly rated in Lille right now. I think he's absolutely. I've watched him a few times in the Champions League and in the French League. I think he's absolutely unbelievable. You know what I mean? For 20 years of age, he's unbelievable in terms of how mature he is and how confident he is on the ball. That for me is one player. Van de Beek for me. People, you know what I mean, not talked about lately, but you can't forget last season's Champions League and what he did for Ajax last season. I think he's a player who can play that kind of role of number 10 role, and also can play as a centre midfielder in that kind of a number 8 position. I think he could be influential for United. Milinkovic-Savic, people forgot about him. I think he's a player that box-to-box kind of type dynamic. You know what I mean? Very, very tall, athletic. You know what I mean? Can do both ends in position, can go attacking. You know what I mean? Very, very direct in the air. You know what I mean? Free kicks, all of that. You know what I mean? That's what we're looking for. And for me, another player that has been absolutely brilliant this season, Jack Grealish. I've been talking about him for a while. I think he's better than James Maddison. I feel like he can give us that kind of, that kind of, what's like he doesn't have no kind of, that ability to just do what you want and just play for the badge and, kind of do anything you want and just take any risk in football. So for me, Jack Grealish will have the swagger type player. So for me, that'll be my top 5.
3?
Oh, top 3, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
In terms of top 3, Jack Grealish, Van der Beek, and Milinkovic-Savic.
Well, if I was your teacher, Saeed, I would be giving you a C because I said 5 and you've given me 3. But the 3...
I'll give you 5, man. Samare, Van der Beek, Milinkovic-Savic, Jack Grealish.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Samari, Van der Beek, Grealish, Savic.
Savic, and who else did I say? Did I say someone else as well?
No.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I'll give you 4 then.
It's all right. It's all right.
I'll give you 4.
I'll feed him back to Ricky. So Ricky's come out with Babakari Samari, who's a young lad for Lille. I don't know really know much about him. Van der Beek at Ajax. Did well in the Champions League last year. I think he's about 23 now. Jack Grealish at Aston Villa and Milinkovic-Savic at Lazio. Any of those sort of jump out as you think being suitable for United?
I like Savic, and apart from Grealish, I've not seen much of the others. I quite like Grealish. I've got my own little list here. I've gone for Premier League players mainly, but I've actually got one on it that I would definitely try and sign. But 4 others, just because you've asked me who I like, really. I like Ndidi. I think he could take Matic's place in the end, but whether it's worth signing him now to replace Matic or whether Ndidi had settled for being a bit part player for now, I don't know how that would work. But I do like Ndidi.
I don't think he'd be a bit part player for Matic. I think Matic should be a bit part player.
Perhaps. But I think Matic is doing great. I think you're still underestimating him.
Yeah, I don't.
But I like Ndidi. I like Campbell. I like Grealish. I like Maddison. I think those 3 all fall into more of an attacking bracket. Again, I'm pretty satisfied with our midfield with McTominay, Matic, and McTominay, Matic, and Bruno, and then obviously Fred. For me, a lot of put Fred in, and probably McTominay wouldn't be in. But I don't mind Fred at all as a backup player for those players. Will we keep Pogba? I don't know. Then we've also got, if you keep your older players rather than spending multi-millions on other players, in the meantime, players might come through. You might not have to spend your multi-millions. I like the look of Garner. I like the look of Levitt. What's wrong with sticking with the players we've got? And let's see how Garner and Levitt do this season. But so with that in mind, the 5th midfield player that I'm going to name, which I don't think we'd have to give a lot of money for, I've only seen him play twice, but I think he'd be worth the gamble. Keaton Parks, who plays for New York City.
All right.
I've watched him a couple of times. He's got a great engine. He's up and down the field. He's got a good touch. He's got exactly what I like in a player. Great work ethic, great team. And we wouldn't have to give multi-millions for him. I'd like to see him another couple of times. But the 2 games I've watched him, I've been dead impressed. And you'd probably get him for 15 million quid.
He's shaking his head.
I can't believe this.
Shaking his head.
I can't believe this.
We've got a midfield. We've got a midfield that's decent. We've got, I think we've got, look, I'm not saying we can win the league, but the point is you're going to go and spend, I don't know, £80 million on whether Grealish or Maddison. We're probably still not, I know we want to do the best we can, but we're probably still not going to win the league. We've got a good midfield, and I think if you spend 20 million quid, or probably 15 million on a backup player who'd be satisfied as being a backup player, it might be more sensible.
I don't know. I don't know what Ricky's been on. Honestly, to sell Pogba and not have a replacement, I think that the academy will do something. I think if you look at it, really, you need 2 replacements for Pogba. One that's defensive and one that can attack. For me, you go get a Partey, then you go get a Grealish. Pogba is 2 players worth. I think to find a Pogba right now in world football, it's unbelievable. And that's why we're scratching our heads with Jack Grealish and whatnot. To find a player of Paul Pogba's quality that can do both, that can defend, that can roam around, that's got the technique, they've got the aerial durability, is unbelievable. So for me, no academy players, no none of that stuff. I want top quality players. And for me, Partey, Grealish is that kind of player that can fit in for me, that could replace Pogba. Unbelievable.
Yeah, as you know, Ricky, he's just not happy that you're saying get rid of Pogba, basically, in a sense. Prem Prodigy says Ricky's right. Garner and Levitt are future Carrick and Scholes, need a loan first, but are serious talents. I mean, that's reminding me. That's a very good comment actually, because we look back to the start of this season and Ollie. We know Ollie. You know, Ollie's naive. I love Ollie, but he does. I think when he says Alexis Sanchez is going to be part of this season, and a week later he's off to Inter, you always wonder with Ollie if he doesn't even know what's going to happen himself. But he did say Greenwood, Chongi, and Gomez were ready. They're ready this season. And we've seen Greenwood play, but Chongi and Gomez, we haven't really seen them play. And I said last summer that I think Chong and Gomez should have gone on loan. And then suddenly Ollie's saying, well, no, we're going to use them. And then he hasn't used them. With Garner and Levitt, do you think, going back to you, Ricky, first, do you think that loan moves... Do you think we should be loaning our younger players out a little bit more? We've got a lot of good young players coming through, but with the likes of Matic, and we are stacked in the midfield, we probably won't have the injuries we've had this season. Should we be looking to loan when you look at what Chelsea did last year with Mount and Abraham and Tomori?
Yeah, I think so. If it depends on who we keep, obviously. I mean, say Pogba was to leave, you do need backup. If we've only got sort of 4 senior midfield players, I think we need a couple of youngsters still about. If we've got 5 senior midfield players, then at least one of them youngsters could go out on loan somewhere.
Yeah,
I agree. I think I've not seen any hype in Garner and Levitt. I really don't. I think they need to go out loan into the Championship, really. I want to see them where you can see them week in, week out. Maybe a Leeds United, Sunderland kind of team where someone's struggling or whatnot. But for me, I don't know about Garner and Levitt. For me, I'm looking at more down below, Majebri and them kind of players that can maybe go into the team in 2 years' time. But for me, Garner's a simple player. Levitt, simple player that can pass through the lines and whatnot. But I still think we need to see the best of them too. And for me, you loan them out. You don't put them into the team next season and then try and work you through that. I reckon we should buy now in terms of Samari and whatnot, and then 3-4 years' time when they're mature, then you bring in Garner and whatnot if they're still good enough. That's it.
Stephen Bihari says, Ricky, you're a legend. You're a fountain of knowledge. And Levitt is a class passer and distributor, says Alec B. Chuck us some of your questions for the last few minutes, actually. And our youth need to play men's football. Loaning is the easiest way for them to do that. Adam Zenicola says, I like Ndidi, but I'm Nigerian and most of our players hit their prime early and never reach their potential, e.g. Mikel, and the list goes on.
I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to cast a whole nation of people who will hit the peak early. I think that's going a bit far.
Yeah, I was trying to think. Carnu played for quite a while, didn't he? He was knocking on a bit. There's plenty of examples, I'm sure.
I'm sure there will be. I'm sure.
But here we go. What's this one? Aravind says, there isn't anyone that can hold the midfield by themselves. Maybe Matic if he had pace, passing range, and an occasional dip into the middle of the park, but we need... Ooh. Big up Saeed, says Ted Waring. Oh, there you go. They're battling now for popularity. And,
Come on.
chuck us some questions then. If Ollie goes with a diamond midfield, who would you want to start? That's a good question from Joshua. Let me just chuck that on the screen as well.
Ollie can't do diamond. I'm sorry. He can't do diamond, Ollie.
Yeah. What do you think is what do you think his formation will be next season? Whether we come back for it or whether we start a new season, what do you think his vision is? Because there's a lot of talk about United, and it's irritated me a lot this year about, oh yeah, we're all on the same page at the club, we're building for the future. And one of the big criticisms I've had is that Ollie's been here a year, I still don't know what the formation is, and I don't know what the philosophy is, and I don't know what the style of play is.
Can I take that?
Go on then. You both get a shout, yeah.
I think it's absolutely fascinating thinking about what he will do, because obviously the Pogba thing is so much up in the air. If Pogba doesn't go anywhere, is he going to feel pressured into having to fit him in the team? I mean, don't get me wrong about he might think he wants him in his team, but even if he doesn't want him in his team, he might feel pressured to fit him into his team. So if that happens, you could well find that you've got like a diamond midfield. But I don't like a diamond. But you could have Matic at the base. You could have McTominay or Fred with Bruno to the left, and then Pogba further forward, or Bruno further forward and Pogba on the left. So I think a diamond midfield could happen if Pogba was to stay. So if he's going to feel pressured into that, it's another reason why I wouldn't want Pogba to stay, because I don't like a diamond midfield. I like a bit of width in the team.
Yeah, I don't think we have the width, do we? I like Wan-Bissaka and Shaw, but I think they're both going forward. Although they've got the engine, they ain't Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson quality at fullbacks. You've got to have real good quality. Even like the Leicester lads, Chilwell and Pereira. I think Shaw and Williams and Wan-Bissaka on the other side are good fullbacks, but I think they're good fullbacks. I don't think they're good wing backs, and you'd need that in a diamond. What about you, Said? How do you think we're going to go next season? Do you think we'll stick with the 4-3-1?
For me, I would go 4-3-3. But for me, it's all about adapting, and that's what Ollie. That's for me is absolutely been crucified this season. He hasn't adapted to every situation. There's been games where teams have come in with a 4-4-2 flat, and he's gone with a 4-3-3, 4-3-2-1. You don't need three midfielders against that. He's never been dynamic. So for me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't even know his correct formation. He went with a 4-3-2-1 start of the season. That was going well. And then, then he went with a 4-3-3. Then he tinkered it with a diamond. The diamond does not work for me. That Everton game was absolutely awful. The second half, we almost sat back. Basically, we didn't know what he was doing. Martial didn't know what he was doing. For me, he all relies on Jadon Sancho next summer. If Jadon Sancho that comes next summer will play with a 4-3-3 dynamic. Then you can play Pogba further forward. Then the two wingers out wide, and then Martial and whatnot. They can all interchange. But for me, this diamond, I don't want to see it ever again at Man United. It's awful. It's not Man United quality. It's not what we aspire to. It's not what United are made of. The DNA of Man United is wingers bombing on forward, and we attack. Diamond does not work for me, so I'll go with 4-3-3.
Ajmal Cosmans, I'll read it out because it's a super chat. He says that Ndidi is older than he actually is because there was an MRI scan in the African Cup of Nations in 2013. Would it be right to spend £80 million on him? I think this is I don't know the truth of any of this. I think this is something that's hung around African football for a while because there's always this. I think there's a couple of players that they thought were older than they actually were. So look, he's been in French football. He's been in English football. He's a fantastic player. I certainly don't think we're dealing with somebody who's 33 when he's 23. So I would welcome Didi at Manchester United. I think he's a very, very good player. This is a good question from Score 70. He says, if Dortmund asks for 120 for Sancho, do we still buy him or do we look for alternatives and sign a CDM specialist? Saeed, you're saying still buy him?
100% buy him, mate. This guy is a generational talent. If Man United miss out on him this summer, honestly, mate, I think it's going to be a long season. I really do. I think with Daniel James and Martial and Rashford, that is not going to be. It's not going to do anything next season. We're not going to rely on that. We have to buy Jadon Sancho and then buy Partey, and that for me is done. Then we can provide. Martial will be 10 times better. Then Rashford will be more confident on the ball. Then we've got a Gallo to come off the bench if he decides to stay on. We've got more rhythm in there. Maybe bring a youth academy again onto the first team. Then we can have some kind of attacking impetus. But for me, if we're not buying Jadon Sancho, then we might as well forget next season. I really do.
Ricky, Saeed saying there that whatever the price, we've got to go for Sancho because he will be one of the big bits of the puzzle. And if we don't get him, we're still very weak on that right-hand side.
I'm not sure I agree. I like Dan James on the right. I'm not saying he's as good as Sancho. I've not seen enough of Sancho to say that he's worth 120 million. If he does come, Saeed, and he does cost that much, I hope he proves you right. I really do.
Well. The hour has flown by as quick as it did last time. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Everyone, please do smash a like on the video. We're going to do it more regularly, especially over the next few weeks, because we just don't know what's going on and things are going to change. And it's good to get the opinions of the fan cameras who are out there at the games when the games do come back. So I'm really appreciative of you both coming on again, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Apart from not being able to hear Saeed, Ricky, I don't know what's going on there. It's weird.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. I could hear him right at the beginning, the first thing that he spoke about, but since then he's been silent.
Yeah.
Anyway,
start of the season, eh? It's always like that. Don't worry.
Might not be a bad thing, like I said. But we'll definitely be doing it again. As long as you lot at home can hear it, that's the main thing. So make sure you are subscribing and smashing a like on the video and getting involved. We'll have the lads on again later in the week, hopefully. As the week, we're trying something new as well. As you can see, we've got a new sort of layout here because it just worked better than the little Ricky in the corner last time. So that's gone well. I hope you've enjoyed that at home. Tomorrow morning, we'll have the Man United news as usual. And I hope to have the video that should have gone up last week, but I lost the video on my computer, which is Robbie because there is a video. He's been filming a documentary over the last few months, and that's going up on ITV tomorrow. So he's going to come on tomorrow lunchtime and talk about United and the situation and just to have a chat, but also telling us a little bit about that as well. That should be live tomorrow at 1:00. So looking forward to that and the week ahead. I hope you're all doing well, and I'll let the lads have a little say before they go.
Yeah.
Everybody keep safe, stay indoors and keep safe. See you soon.
That's it. As much as it's boring, stay safe, and we'll beat the pandemic, and football will be on. Old Trafford lights. Can you imagine that? Sancho on the right-hand side? Brilliant.
Hope so. If we get that in August, maybe it's worth the wait. We'll see. Thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you in the morning.
Cheers.
Cheers.